Yes, TV channel 421, Go TV channel 144. This is Joy News Prime. Our headlines: these are our future of mining and granite deposits under threat in the Ashanti region as private developers encroach on quarry sites. We'll hear from the Lands Ministry, which is moving to demolish illegal structures in such areas.
A concession that has been legally secured, and you come and build in the concession without any permission from the Assembly nor the Lands Commission. Why not? The person doesn't need any compensation.
And former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Japan, is not ruling out a presidential run as he cautions presidential aspirants in the NPP to tone down on their campaigns and support the government to deliver first.
All of us, true patriots, should be focused on helping the government deliver on that mandate.
Okay.
We shouldn't come across as if we enjoy campaigning more than governing.
When a team loses its father, best friend, boss, and inspirer. And current colleagues of the late general manager of Joy Brands, Elvis Kwashie, talks about the hero he was and the gap his death has left, a gap which may never be refilled.
Boss by name and by figure. All of us around respected him a lot because he led.
I was saying the other time that he connects to everyone differently, like.
At 8 p.m., I will hand it over to Daryl and Gary for Prime Business and Prime Sports. Daryl, what's coming up in business?
Well, Blessed, if you're thinking of buying jewelry around this time, you should think twice because prices are going up and it's because of the cedi's depreciation. We'll hear from jewelers.
First, it was 400. The citizen, it was 400. But now they said the dollar is now 8 cedis. So if we have to increase the price.
Things are very expensive because of the dollar and people are not buying.
Gary will be here for sports.
Yes, in sports, the Director General of the National Sports Authority, Peter Twumasi, has assured Ghanaians that the Cape Coast Stadium will be ready to host the World Cup qualifier playoff between the Black Stars and the Super Eagles in 2 weeks.
Immediately after the 6th match, which everybody expected that there will be some impact on the pitch. Of course, if you have these army vehicles and marching and all that on the pitch, it will be impacted. But I think what we have really now put in place, mechanism is said that it can recover the pitch just within about a week.
We are your home of independent, fearless, credible journalism. I am Blessed Suga. Stay for details. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has observed a threat to future mining of granite deposits at Quarry site in the Ashanti region are encroached by private developers. The local assembly say it's becoming increasingly difficult to mine the resource. Deputy Lands Minister George Murikoduka says structures found to have breached any laws face demolition without compensation to their owners. Love FM's Erastus Cesare Donko has the rest of the story.
Large granite stone deposits create an imposing skyline visible across towns in Efija Quarry South and Quarry East districts. The resource, high in demand by estate developers, is a revenue cash cow for these communities. But constant building close to the quarry sites is making it difficult to mine.
So, like a chicken and egg situation, residents here at Nkukuabohon, Afrancho, Krobogetim, and others say they came to meet the rocks without the quarry institutions, and so they are free to build. But the quarry mining companies are also saying otherwise. They say they got the license and bought the land with a 500-meter buffer zone to be able to mine. And so these people are encroaching at the Quarry mine site. Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, George Mrekuduka, went on a fact-finding tour of the Quarry sites to find solution to the problem. At Quarry South, DCE Christian Edupoku told the minister continuous encroachment of the quarry sites will deny the assembly of badly needed revenue for development.
5 cities per cubic meter of every load that goes away from Quarry South. Out of the 5 cities, there were 1 city a bar assembly direct as business operating permits (BOP). Now 1 city Edema Quarry Association, to help them develop themselves. 3 cities now can development projects.
George Mrekuduka called for investigations into developments close to the quarry sites. He said structures found to be illegal will be demolished.
If I have my concession that has been legally secured and you come and build in the concession without any permission from the assembly nor the lands commission, why not? The person doesn't need any compensation.
Some of the developers told our news team traditional authorities who sold the lands to them failed to indicate they were within buffer zones.
Inside the wing and paisa. Into minne, Yakase be a mame, Yamao Hakutu, Quatanaha, and a mame, Yetiauka Quatanaha mini problem.
There are plans to resettle some of the people here to pave way for the mining of this natural resource, which is needed in all sectors of development across the country. Until then, the situation remains the people, the rocks, and the quarry mines. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Quarry, Ashanti region.
The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mining, George Mrekuduka, has joined us live on Zoom for more on this development. Thank you, sir, for your time on Joining Us Prime. We know this is dangerous, but how will you describe the danger? Are we actually sitting on a time bomb?
Good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. As you rightly described the situation, it's quite dangerous, and we cannot also live without this granite. It's there to support us to build our infrastructure edifice that may support us in our developmental agenda. And you cannot say you live in that stone. You want to build school, you want to build roads, whatever you want to do, you can do away with that. And it's our collective, interest to secure this resource that God has gifted us. And I would say that it is important for all stakeholders to understand that mining granite is as equally important as mining gold, and you have to consciously sensitize and conscientize the populace to understand the need for us to move away from these concessions. Someone gets the permits from Minerals Commission, EPA, and other commissions that have been set up by the law. If they do get these licenses, it is our duty as leaders of the various communities to protect these miners, to serve our interests as a country. Because if you want your road to be built, that road cannot be built without stone. And if we are not getting stones within the country, it means we need to be importing these stones from our neighboring countries. That would be very expensive, to the economy of this country. So yes, I went there, saw it myself. People have encroached. We interviewed some of the concessionaires, and they revealed that some of them have been there for more than 2 decades. Those encroachers that we also had chance of interviewing also disclosed that they've been around for 5 years, 6 years, 2 years, and so on and so forth. So that tells you that, yes, they encroached. They knew that the operations were going on, yet they, did that. But obviously, some of them also had permits from the assembly, and that is the reason why we need to holistically address this matter. That chiefs must be informed, the assemblies must be informed. In fact, all identifiable groups in this must be well informed as to the need for them to respect the buffer, space in this regard.
The assemblies have played in this?
Yes, before you get a permit to build or you are allowed to build in a community, you need to secure a kind of permit from the assembly. And you need to show your land title, and that this land title, you must get it through the assembly and so on, from the Lands Commission within the framework of the operations of the assembly. So you cannot work in isolation. So whoever has built means, or practically means, the person sought the permission from the assembly. So if that's the case, and the assembly also knows of the operations of those miners, then you cannot reconcile the two. So there must be a situation where whoever gets the permit to build from the assembly must indicate to the applicant that this place cannot be earmarked or that building or your intent, and that education must go on. But the person will tell you, yes, I had a permission from the assembly. The assembly knew of this, yet they gave me, so I need compensation. With that, we cannot do away with compensation. But if the person is so recalcitrant, he was informed of the operations of the concession, yet went ahead to build, then obviously the person cannot be compensated.
Right. And what will your ministry actually do to correct the wrong?
So we've started engaging all the stakeholders. We want to embark on vigorous sensitization on this matter, especially where we have this concessions. I mean, the granite, especially the Fija, Quarry South, and other jurisdictions where we have these concessions. That there's the need for us to move away. We don't want the repetition of impiety, because you cannot also mine stones without explosives. And if you go to or do anything in relation to explosives and people get closer, it may harm you or you will get fatal results. So we consciously motivating people to understand the concept of mining and also respecting the buffer space that is allowed within the law.
George Miracle Duka, we're grateful for your time. Now, the Right Honourable Kingsford Alban Tumana Bangwin, the Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, had descended on President Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his comments on the recent Supreme Court ruling giving the Deputy Speakers the right to vote whilst presiding. In a statement on the official Facebook page of the Parliament of Ghana, the Speaker, whilst describing the judgment as a reckless intrusion into the remit of Parliament, described the President's comment as myopic and unfortunate. Samuel Kojo-Brace joins me live on Zoom with details of this. We are now getting to read for the first time what really went into the decision of the Supreme Court. At the heart of the decision by the Supreme Court, declaring that the Deputy Speakers have the right to vote. But Brace, what more can you tell us about what the Speaker has been saying on Facebook?
Well, thank you very much. The Speaker says that he resisted temptations to speak on this matter when the judgment was delivered, but he's been brought into the fray to speak because of what the President has been saying. Now, he has used two words to describe what the President said. He said the President's statement is simply myopic and an unfortunate one. Now, to quote him, he says the Supreme Court decision is, to say the least, not only an absurdity, but a reckless incursion into the remit of Parliament. The trend of unanimity is equally troubling. It doesn't help explore and expand our legal jurisprudence. The President's comment is myopic and unfortunate. It only goes to worsen the schism between the executive and Parliament. The impartiality of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, or presiding officer has been treasured and fought for by this country throughout our democratic development. Mr. President, the issue being discussed is not about Parliament being above the law. Everyone knows that Parliament is not above the law. The executive and judiciary are equally not above the law. The issue being discussed is the political question doctrine. It took centuries to detail out the strands of this doctrine, and the principles are settled as to when and how this closed book could be opened. Please, I encourage the plaintiff to go for a review. Signed, Right Honorable Alban Sumana Bagbing, Speaker, 8th Parliament.
Kujabris, thank you for giving us the latest on that. We are now getting to read for the first time what really went into the decision of the Supreme Court. At the heart of the decision by the Supreme Court declaring that deputy speakers have the right to vote is that the standing orders of Parliament are subservient to the Constitution, and any law contrary to the Constitution is void. My colleague Kwaku Asante has gone through the 29-page judgment of the court and joins me now on Zoom with details. Kwaku, what does the court say about the political question doctrine and why they thought their jurisdiction was properly triggered?
All right, so this judgment written by Yoni Kulendi, who was part of the 7-member panel who had the case, starts by actually quoting a judgment by a previous Supreme Court. And let me quote, it says, where it is alleged before the Supreme Court that any organ of government or an institution is acting in violation of a provision of this Constitution, the Supreme Court is duty bound by Articles 2:1 and 131 to exercise jurisdiction. And so the Supreme Court starts by laying down the foundation, for which reason it thought it could actually look at this. Because you just heard there from Brief what the Speaker said, actually saying that the political question doctrine should have prevented the Supreme Court from pronouncing on this matter. But the court clearly states that whenever an arm of government or any other institution of state is said to have contravened the specifics of the 1992 Constitution, then the court can come in and make a determination. And so this is the basis upon which the court starts by saying that the standing orders as well as any other law that may be inconsistent with the 1992 Constitution is void. And so this is the starting point of this judgment of the court.
Now the court talks about supremacy of the Constitution over the supremacy of Parliament.
All right, so what the court proceeded to do was to say that people may claim Parliament may have a certain level of supremacy, for which reason they may be questioned. And it quotes what happens in the British Parliament, for instance, where if you go to the United Kingdom, the British Parliament is said to be the supreme state or the supreme law of the land. And so whatever they may do is not even subject of question in the court. The court quotes directly and says that the supremacy of the Constitution in this country and by the laws that we practice in this country is what is paramount. And so Parliament cannot claim that the specifics of the things they do in Parliament is not subject to any question. And so Johnny Kulendi writes quite eruditely by claiming that the Constitution of Ghana makes it an imperative for the Supreme Court to pronounce on such matters by stating that our laws and every other rules and regulation that may be enforced in any place that is not in accordance with the Supreme Court, in accordance with the Constitution of the party, will be struck out. And so we know that in this judgment, they actually struck out portions of the standing orders of Parliament, and that is what Yoni Kulendi spells out in this 20 of the court.
Now, what did the court say about forming the quorum in the House?
Okay, so the court goes to make a distinction between quorum for business, quorum for voting. So it states first that the quorum for doing business, any ordinary business of the House, as spelled out by the Constitution, is 2/3 of members. But where that is 2/3 of members apart from the person presiding. And so for those who may be minded to look at that part of the law may say that, well, then the deputy speaker who may be presiding at the time, if he cannot be counted for the purposes of quorum, then cannot vote. The court says there's a clear distinction between quorum and ordinary business of Parliament. Say they are having a debate about what may have happened in the Piatti or anything. That is 2/3 and 1/3. But the court goes on to lay emphasis on quorum needed to vote in the House, which says is at least half of MPs present. And the court goes on to make the point that the first deputy speaker should be part of this. And so the speaker, the deputy speaker, or whoever may be presiding, because they are members of parliament whose constituents put them there to do business on their behalf, cannot be simply said that when he is presided cannot vote. And so the court goes on to lay emphasis on that to say that these are the people of Bekwai in this particular instance, whose MP is Joseph Osewusu, who at the time was sitting in the chair, needed representation and how to vote on the specific matter. And so the court made that distinction between quorum for doing business, any ordinary business, and the quorum for voting, and concluded by saying that the first deputy speaker or the second deputy speaker or any other person for that matter can be counted as part of MPs needed to form the quorum that will lead to the House making a decision on a vote, for instance, and in this particular case, the 2022 budget approval that took place. And so the court made that decision over there.
Okay. What reasons did the court adduce to support their ruling that the deputy speakers can vote?
So the court lays out a number of parameters. It talks about the supremacy of the Constitution. It also talks about schemes that have been decided in the past. Martin Amidu versus President Kufuor and the Attorney General in 2002, and quotes copiously why they think that the specific ground norms and the rules and regulations of Parliament might have been stated in the standing orders. And we know that in the standing orders, Order 1093, which has been struck out by the Constitution, the Deputy Speaker only does not have that power to vote. And so it goes on to lay that. Let me read, for instance. It says that where it is alleged before the Supreme Court that any organ of government or an institution is acting in violation of the provision of the Constitution, the Supreme Court is duty bound by Articles 21, 131 to exercise jurisdiction unless the Constitution has provided a specific remedy like those of Articles 33 and 99 with dealing with that particular violation. And actually, if you read this judgment of the court, it seemed as though they were responding directly to the concerns that had been raised by the Speaker of Parliament by calling the judgment the kind of term that the Speaker of Parliament used to describe the judgment. But it goes on to clearly spell out the provisions under which the court, the 7-member court that would unanimously believe that the first and second deputy speakers or any other person for that matter presiding over the House can vote. Pleasant.
Okay, now the court ended by doing a comparative analysis between Ghana and other countries.
Right. So the court goes on to say that there's a clear distinction between some states and some versions of parliament elsewhere where the Speaker of Parliament can vote or cannot vote. We know that in the British Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament is elected from among members of Parliament and does not have to resign his or her seat. He has to be in the seat and continue to do business, but only has casting vote in case there's a tie. It goes on to say that in the United States, the House of Representatives, an elected member of House, unlike the Speaker in Westminster, is a leader of the majority party of the House. And so if you go to the US Congress, the Speaker of Parliament is analogous to the majority leader. And so he is a majority leader and at the same time the Speaker of the House and can still cast his vote. And so it goes on, lists a myriad of parliaments from across the world. It goes to Canada, the Australian, and other cases where speakers of parliament and their deputies or whoever may be presiding can't vote or do not vote. And so it's a 29-page document where the Supreme Court clearly letting out the reasons why it came to the conclusions it did, and we have fully analyzed this judgment on my platform for those who may want to read the full text for themselves. And so that judgment is there on myjoyonline.com for anyone interested to have a read.
Kwaku Asante, I'm grateful. It's been 3 months and the team members under the Joy branch of the multimedia group have not heard Elvis's morning prayers felt his tickle or his exacting tone after the midday news. Affectionately called the real boss, Elvis has left a vacuum. Tomorrow, he will be laid to rest in his hometown after a funeral at the forecourt of the State House on Saturday, March 12. He died at the University of Ghana Medical Center after a short illness.
Black was the color that dominated the number 8 Hampton Court at Adringano on Wednesday evening. Scores of aggrieved men and women trooped to the compound of the former general manager of the Joy cluster, Elvis Kwashie. The purpose of their coming was to chant solemn melodies and listen to words of exhortation to soothe their pain. The multimedia choir were present in their numbers to lead the audience in warm choruses that reflected on the goodness of God and the transient nature of life itself.
It is well. With my soul. With my soul. It is well. It is well. It is well. With my soul.
Other musical groups like the Evergreen Choir also spiced the atmosphere with rhythms that only triggered more and more tears. From the time the vigil began to the very last hour, the eyes of the attendants were filled with tears. Hearts were heavy, and for those who couldn't contain their emotions, they simply broke into uncontrollable weeping. One of the masters of ceremony, who couldn't hold himself any longer, had to break down on stage.
Beloved in Christ, please forgive me. It's a difficult time. Pastor Kwashie, please help us with another word of prayer.
From the pulpit, Pastor Kwashie sought to encourage the broken participants with some words of inspiration gleaned from the scriptures. According to him, even though death is painful, there is hope for believers who pass on in Christ.
Our Savior, our perfect example, our Lord passed on to glory at the age of 33 years. Elvis extended that age. He went beyond that age. I believe in God's word that if you live, you live for the Lord. If you die, you die for the Lord. And then Paul says in conclusion that whether we live or we die, we are for the Lord.
But the soothing words of encouragement from the man of God were not enough to immediately calm the hearts of some of Elvis's colleagues who had worked with him in the past. Stanley Dogbe, owner of Wezo TV, who also covered the vigil, told Joy News the idea of Wezo TV itself was heavily inspired by the professional inputs and brotherly support of Elvis Kwashie. According to him, Elvis was not just a colleague, but a relative whose impact in his life will continue to linger.
I'll miss Elvis's calls. Elvis would call me and would have a very piercing voice. Aibe. And I said, what have I done again? Have you seen this thing? ABCD. You know, and anytime he calls me, if the call is going to be a friendly call, I can tell. And if it's going to be something about a profession, I'll tell. And maybe you call me. I'm not happy about something that somebody in your party had done to, you know, a colleague of mine in the office or something. But did you hear that this, but what was that? Oh, then I said, oh, no problem. Are you going to this program, Charlie? My people are coming, oh, I need you to support them. I said, no problem, I'll be there for them. And those calls were always exciting calls to pick. I mean, we've not had any arguments or debates that are fierce. He'll call me, give me an advice. I'll call him and give him an advice and stuff. So those are the calls that I'll truly miss. Yeah.
Programs manager at Star FM and a former colleague of Elvis, Francis Aben, also expressed his profound commiserations.
When a man has an impact on you that much, you can't single out a singular moment that defines him. So I'll say that many moments in time, but one thing I would definitely say is live for impact. His life is testimony that if you go out every day with the focus to make life better, to make people around you better.
The comments from Stanley Dogbe and Francis Aben were part of the tons of fond memories expressed by many mourners who graced the occasion. Amidst the grief, the message many took home was that there is indeed a journey ahead, which all men will surely embark on. A minstrel from Elvis's local assembly, Elder Kwame Owusu, summed it all up in his rendition of Andy Frimpong Manson's Akwantubi.
Akwantubi wo, oh aye betu, eyeria tiha. Happen every see now yeah in the Libesha Cristo did Punya Ababoma Anna. We will see at the Elvis and
the audience responded in tears, drawing down the curtains on a successful but heavily emotional vigil for the late maestro. For Joy News, Pakwisi Shandoff.
Correspondents from the Joy newsroom across the country say distance was never a barrier for Elvis.
Joined the multimedia group to lead the group not long ago, but he still managed to travel all the way from wherever he was to Cape Coast to join me to celebrate that day. And for me, it was very good. Occasionally he will call you, Richard, how is your beautiful wife doing? How are the kids doing? And all of that. And for me, to get someone like him to extend some kind of relationship beyond the work, you always will agree on one particular issue. But after that, you get back to the normal ways. And so I feel that we've lost a great person, someone who was an all-rounded person. He touches everyone. I mean, you may not be very cool with him today, but tomorrow you may do something and then he will send you a text.
Living gets fit every time, and he's the one who is inspiring you and urging you on all the time. Nothing brings him down. And there's not a problem you will tell him that he won't encourage you to move on. So that, fit person, he was so sick that he couldn't even talk to me. And this is somebody I looked up to. I called him a senior brother because I could tell him everything. And we spoke a lot. In fact, outside the job, he would call me, lengthy chat, long hours on various issues, and sometimes as little as I am in this job, he will call me and be seeking advice from me on certain things, and it was so refreshing. Still in denial until maybe tomorrow when I see him.
There is this part that I have not shared before, and I've talked a lot about Elvis EL. So today I'll share that part. I mean, my husband and I. And I came to work one day, and he called me in and asked of the situation, like updates. And when I gave him the update, he made calls and tried to resolve the matter for me. It's none of his business to want to resolve so many people. Elvis was a friend. Elvis didn't want to be seen as the manager, the boss, and that is why he's a real boss, because he gets down to your level to work with you, and he knows how to make you ease into what you do. And when Elvis says, "My eyes are on you," Elvis will not leave you until he's done. We are live, and then you'll be doing "My eyes are on you." So everything you do, he's watching you. And when you are done, sometimes immediately you are done, if it goes well, he'll commend you and shout and make all the noise. If it doesn't go well, he'll give it to you there and then.
Elvis was special. Elvis was a friend. Elvis was a great leader and a boss. And I think that what I'll remember, I'm not sure I can tell the story of how I joined multimedia in 40 seconds, but just to make it brief, I had a call. I had done my national service there, and I had left to, not my national service, sorry, internship, and I'd gone to do my national service as a teaching assistant at GIJ. And I was done with my national service, and I was hoping to go back to school. So I was at home when I received a call that, "Oh, there's a new boss around here, he'd like to meet you." And I met because, at that time we were not converged. So I was doing my internship with TV, and I had crossed over to radio to do something. There was this man it was after the midday news, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, why is this guy so strict? And hey, what's happening here?" It looked like, you were in a court or something, and So I didn't have a relationship with him, and I was like, "I'm not sure I can work with this guy. He's too strict." But he's not here, and I always say, "Oh, this is not what we planned. This is not what we planned. This shouldn't be it." There are so many projects, so many things, and I haven't been at work, so.
Because Elvis is somebody who is very special, and then also I wish that I had him. Ever since that we lost Elvis, I've also lost my voice. I remember I used to do like say 60, 70 stories a month. But since we lost Elvis, that motivation is no more. I was counting the number of stories that I did at the last month, which was about 5, 6 stories. And for me, Elvis is a pillar. He used to call me the top striker, and so there are times that he used to call me and tell me if my top striker is not performing, I'm worried. I figure you have to do a story for me to hear your wow. And so Elvis is somebody who motivates me. Elvis is a pillar, and Elvis, he's a real boss.
We'll take a break here. We'll return with the editorial.
This editorial is a hard one. This is because it is about our boss, Elvis Kwashie. The first Joy News editorial aired when Elvis was on leave. The very first edition went viral, and I received a call from Elvis. I didn't know how he would receive this whole idea of an editorial on Fridays. But his response was not shocking. He said, "So you people waited for me to go on leave before starting this brilliant idea?" Then he added, "Now that you've decided to put this content on my TV, you have to be consistent. We will do it every Friday." Then he said, "Araba, this editorial will no longer be Araba's take. We will call it Joy News Editorial." His reason was simple. "I don't want anyone to attack you personally. If they want to attack you, they must attack all of us." So the name changed to Joy News Editorial. That was it. Talk of an open-minded boss. That's Elvis Kwashie. He will welcome any brilliant idea and give it oxygen to survive. Joy Newsroom editorial meetings are where we decide what content goes on air. Elvis will always be in the meeting to give us direction, encourage us, all of us, reporters and editors, including interns, to bring ideas. But one intriguing thing that he gives us is the freedom to speak up, and sometimes we overrule him. Yes. On many occasions, we have broken great stories that have generated national conversations and brought social change. These are stories that many other newsrooms will not dare tell. But he would ask, is it true? Is it factual? Do we have proof? Have we heard from the other side? Let's run it. That's why we are fearless. In politically charged and polarized seasons, Elvis remains calm and fair. He has friends on both sides of the political divide, but he still maintains his professionalism.
He's a very calm gentleman. He had a knack for leadership. He had a knack for training people to appreciate who they are. I'll miss Elvis's calls. Elvis would call me and would have a very piercing voice. If the call is going to be a friendly call, I can tell. And if it's going to be something about a profession, I will tell. And maybe you call me. I'm not happy about something that somebody in your party had done to, a colleague of mine in the office or something. But did you hear that? But what was that? Oh, didn't I? Said, oh, no problem.
Elvis's subordinates and colleagues about how great a boss and how real a boss he was. Elvis did not start off as a boss. Around 2007, 2009, we shared a common boss, Matoda Santesidu, Mr. Kwesi Chum, who is here, and Mr. Ken Ashigbe, who is now at the telecoms chamber. But I think what has worked for Elvis over the years, which we all must take away, is the value system which he kept faith with and which he has passed on to the younger generation.
That's a testament of his professionalism. Now, Elvis will say, if you're doing journalism and everyone is happy with you, then what you're doing is not journalism. Find something else to do. That was Elvis for you. He works with so much dedication, and many times he's very difficult to please. But once you do an exceptional job, he sings your praises. You'll hear him scream, hard guy. There are times he forces the team to give a standing ovation to anyone who excels. When his ideas blossom beautifully, he would beam with smiles, and then he would ask, what's my name? Then we will say, you are the real boss. And then, as pleased as Punch and as proud as a peacock, he'll ask again, what is my name? Elvis is a real boss. We'll miss him dearly. His voice is still loud in our ears. It's still ringing my ears. Elvis, we'll never forget you.
And it's time to check out what's happening in the world of entertainment. Becky is here, celebrating the real boss as well.
Yeah, we're all celebrating the real boss. I haven't had I don't know whether to say the chance, but I really don't have the words to, say anything, but we're still celebrating him. I know that he's a good man, and he's a lover of the gospel, and so I'm sure, well, let's talk about the gospel music industry. There's a new lady. She is a US-based musician. She's a gospel musician, and she was on Hits FM this morning. She's been talking about support for the gospel music industry and why everyone deserves to be supported. Sarah sings there. Kwame Eugene, he was on Tim Westwood, Making Ghana Proud.
Oh, they're not back from London?
Not yet. He's doing a couple of things there, and his performance at Tim Westwood, got everyone talking. For those of you who haven't seen it here, it's Kwame Eugene. Yeah, but that's
great work.
That's very impressive. And speaking of rap music, as part of celebrating Ghana Month, we're celebrating Obrafo, the rap legend, here this evening.
And that's it for Joy News. Brian with me, Blessed Sugan. Up next is Joy Business.
Hello everyone. Tonight, issuers of Freedom Coin describe Bank of Ghana's warning as premature, saying they are not, their product cannot be described as cryptocurrency. Also tonight, jewelers lament impact of cedi depreciation on their business.
It was 400, but now they said the dollar is now 8 cedi, so if you have to increase the price.
Things are very expensive because of the dollar, and people are not buying.
And this may sound gross. We speak to traders and patrons of soup made from excreta of some bush animals, which is a delicacy in some parts of the country.
It's very nice when it gets into your system. And as a journalist, I need this every week so that I can be active and all that.
There's more after this. My name is Darryl Carr. Thanks for staying with us tonight. Issuers of the yet-to-be-launched virtual Freedom Coin have described a statement by the Bank of Ghana about the virtual coin as premature, insisting their product cannot be called a cryptocurrency. According to an official statement, they are still at the initial stages of finalizing the development of the digital coin and its usage. The statement also maintained that at no point was the Freedom Coin described as cryptocurrency as reported by the Bank of Ghana. It added the issuers are willing to engage the central bank to address all concerns raised. Joining me to discuss this is blockchain analyst Emmanuel Edu, also CEO of CD Exchange. Great to have you on the program tonight. So the Bank of Ghana issues a warning about Freedom Coin. Now, issuers claiming they never described it as a cryptocurrency. Your thoughts on this back and forth?
Yeah, good evening. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I disagree to the fact that we are saying it's not a cryptocurrency because it's backed by blockchain, right? But I think what they were trying to let us know, the reason why they are saying it's very premature for Bank of Ghana to issue those kind of statements is because Bank of Ghana...
All right, Emmanuel, are you still there? Looks like we may have lost Emmanuel there. We'll try and reconnect with him, but he has been speaking to us about the issues to do with cryptocurrency. Now, the issue to do with Freedom Coin, a warning sounded by the Bank of Ghana about that virtual currency, and now we're hearing from the issuers who say we never described it as a cryptocurrency. And so we see how that goes. If we are able to get Emmanuel, we will get back to him. I will still stay with money matters because jewelers at the Makula shopping mall are lamenting the impact of the rise in the dollar rate on their businesses. The Ghana cedi in a recent report was ranked last among many African currencies. This is because it depreciated by a very significant margin to the dollar over time. Today on Joy Business Shopping List, Emma Davis finds out the prices of some jewelry.
In today's episode of the Joy Business Shopping List, we are at the Makula Shopping Mall to check the prices of jewelry. Come with me as I try to find something pretty to wear.
Yeah, this one is a new brand of bracelets. That one is 30. My anklets are here. And that one are 15 and 20.
Do you by any chance suggest what kind of anklets someone should wear?
Okay, it depends on where the person, maybe somebody is going out, going to a beach or somewhere. Yeah, you can use this bracelet because you are wearing a hot sneaker and so on. Yeah, you have to wear this so that it will come out of your dressing. And this one, when you are going to an office or somewhere decent, you can wear something like this.
Your necklaces with the earrings, how much?
That one, they are 50, 70, 100 and 150. For a wedding, if the person is getting married, right? As for we the Muslims, the Hausa, we normally wear something big to show off, to come out. But for a party or office, you can wear something like this. When somebody invites you for a program, you can wear something like this. Wear this when they are getting married. For Christians, right? You have to wear this. And it's quite expensive, you understand? It's 160 and 50. We the Muslims, this is our field. Yeah, we like wearing this. You know, when you wear this, no necklace. Something like this. Yeah, it's for a wedding. It's 50 cedi. It's 50 cedi. We have different types. We have more than that. We have 200, 250 soon. This is stock brooch. For retailers, it's 10 cedi, but wholesale is different price. We call it Wendy earrings. For a pack, it's 30. The bangles, you see these types, they are stainless bangles. Yes, yeah. That one is for 30 cedi. This one, they are 50 cedi, they are quite expensive. The watches too are here, 150, 180. They have the piercing one too. Some of the girls use it as a belly button. That one is for 40.
So how has business been?
Things are very expensive because of the dollar, and people are not buying.
Way back we 12 cedis. They say I bet on 15. Sikana Kosru. Way to back we 15. Food for buy I bet on 20. A watch. Any blessing in 60. They say a new one buy I bet on 70. Nyamana Kosru, Sikano so Kosru, Equai Yamano, into me. Bibia ye basa ye nto ade anso 3 weeks ni ye to me nyama no report no mo ka hwe che me say dollar no nyama na nso sa sika nso ye gi o bank yes anso na my pressure.
It ranges from 450 to 800, and the 800 to we have unisex and men and women, but the 450 one is like they are smaller ones, so I recommend it for it's for ladies. And you have bracelets and bangle. The bracelets, we have the ones with the stones on it and the one that has less stones on it. This is 20, this one is 25. And the bangles too, we have 20 and 50. The 50 cedis don't come with the ring. The bridal bracelet is 50 cedis and the normal one is 40. And you have sets for bridals. So the set is 250. Just the watch and the bracelet, we give it to 150. So when it comes to the leather, we have leather, a leather watch, battery and engine. We have 80, 70, 100, 120. And they are all battery. The 70 and the 80 are battery, but the 150 and the 120, we have the engine one. The Casio watch is 60 cedis. The analog is 70.
So I came to town without a watch, but I'm leaving with a Nixon watch on my hand, very affordable at the Makola shopping mall. The traders are complaining that prices of jewelry are on the rise due to the increase in the dollar rate. My name is Emma Davis, reporting for Joy Business.
All right, let's take you back to a headline story to do with Freedom Coin and the issuers saying they have not called it a cryptocurrency and saying that the Bank of Ghana's warning was premature. We can connect now with Emmanuel Edu. He's a blockchain analyst, also founder of CD Exchange. So you are reacting to the comment by the issuers of Freedom Coin.
Yeah. Yes. I said, I don't know. I've not really read much about their project, but as long as it's running behind, it's running on blockchain, there is cryptocurrency. I think what they meant to say is the Bank of Ghana do not yet know the utility behind the token, right? Because every cryptocurrency is backed by a certain utility.
Right.
It can be, I don't know what type of project is behind the issuance of that cryptocurrency, but as long as it's running on the blockchain, it's cryptocurrency. So if it's not on a blockchain and it's not a cryptocurrency, then I do not know really what is it.
I guess the matter at hand right now is whether Ghana is ready or not to accept the use of cryptocurrency. And based on the Bank of Ghana's initial response, looks like the central bank is hesitant in accepting its usage.
That is a big problem for the crypto enthusiasts in Ghana and innovators, if I should say, because some of us who work with a lot of people around the world with cryptocurrency and blockchain, sometimes we feel the odd one out. We feel like the odd one. We are the odd one out. Okay, we feel that we are from we live in a country which doesn't accept innovation. And come on, cryptocurrency has come to stay. 2 days ago, President Joe Biden issued an executive order to the United States Security Commission to analyze the benefits and the risk of cryptocurrency. And a lot of all around the world, the advanced countries are exploring the possibilities of blockchain and cryptocurrency. And you know, I think 4 years ago, Park Singh-Lum's son said Ghana should invest like $1 million in cryptocurrency. At that time, Bitcoin was just around $12,000. If Ghana had invested, like by now, we are making a lot of money. And so, guess what? These big countries, advanced countries, they are doing it. Blockchain is changing the world. Blockchain is raising millionaires around the world. But I think Ghana, the problem is the government or the government is not providing the enabling environment for discussion, for proper discussion on the issue of cryptocurrency.
To be fair, the central bank has not said never, we are not going to accept it. It's just saying, let's take our time. Let's understand how this works. Let's eliminate the risks and then the concerns people have about security of when it comes to the currency. That is legitimate, isn't it?
But when you remember in the year in the 90s, in the late 90s, when internet became very prevalent and what we all know as a dot-com bubble, all right? That is when the Amazon came out. That is where eBay came out. That's where a lot of big techs that we know now. What did Ghana do? We're just observing as if it's nothing. We're just seeing internet as though it will never be relevant ever. Okay, and that is what is happening to blockchain adoption in Ghana. And some of us I think it's about time the government open up a very vibrant discussion. If the government supports cryptocurrency and blockchain, the problem is not.
Looks like we've lost the connection to Emmanuel, but I guess that the point has been made. Thank you so much for joining us, blockchain analyst Emmanuel Edu there. Let's move on to other stories we are covering for you tonight. It may sound gross, but have you ever wondered why some Ghanaians enjoy the excreta of some animals? Well, it's a delicacy among certain tribes and individuals in Ghana. In this edition of Food Chain, Prince Apia speaks to traders and some patrons of soup made from the excreta of some bush animals.
This is Abna Kunedu. She has traded in bushmeat for more than 20 years here at the popular Achomunum, the hub of bushmeat, close to Kumasi Central Market in the Shanti region.
I want the banana fresh. Maybe be out. From the banana, be out of Toma or Mubia. Now, if you're a man, we are going to Mamma. The entire didn't say. You want to say, I really it's a one or two room. I know ring hammer and Mount Juan worry. Or no Korea, baby, no say. The Ebekunu crop and a cranka. Ebu can and Nibini, and any Nibini, or Nibini to say a Yaponche. It's a really needed the fruit. A man while you knew Francis Sunny. And no beer, yes, no beer, just no ma, and no more.
Consumption of the bushmeat is loved by many, not always because of the meat, but how long the aroma stays on you for days. This is because of the stomach content of the carcass, or what some say is the fecal matter of the bush animal, is added to the soup.
So after an hour of painstakingly going through the process of preparing the Ochi Evening Quine, the excreta, using the excreta of the bush animals to prepare soup. It is not ready, and what is happening now is that this young gentleman is collecting the meat from the soup into a special bowl, because the woman here will be selling it in the morning for her customers.
Taste room.
It is very delicious.
You see, it's very nice when it gets into your system. And as a journalist, I need this every week so that I can be active and all that.
Though scientists often would caution against the consumption of any excreta or fecal matter, but the stomach contents or the fecal matter of these bush animals have positive reviews. Professor Engman explains why consuming the stomach contents of the carcass, or what many say is the fecal matter of these bush animals, is not harmful but beneficial.
It is a delicacy for some. The cooking process sort of kills the microorganisms that will be present in the meat, and so in terms of microbial safety, there is some level of safety. The advice also is that those that are removed from the intestines are that which we advise for consumption if you are interested in consuming that, rather than the feces, the pellets that have come out.
For many, eating bushmeat is also about keeping traditions alive and maintaining a culture of living in harmony with the nature that is rapidly being lost. Prince Apia reporting.
Well, next we head to the market. Beverly Broom takes us to the Kaneshi market to gauge the prices of tomatoes.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Joy Business Shopping List. Today we are throwing our spotlights on tomatoes. Tomatoes are key components in our diets. Now, according to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, approximately 440,000 tons of tomatoes are consumed annually. I'm wondering, how much does it cost you and I to consume that much? Come with me to the Kaneshi market. Let's find out more.
Ene 15, ene 10, kama koba wa chiono, mukoba anye keba 8, mukoba keba 7, waka si wa chona 10, keba 7 na kaba la ba 8 waka, bagate on le 30, mukoba beba ke ochino, keba bo 25 for home, mukoba bo 28 for home, lucky fe ko li ba gbe ni. Hey, call back Kaneshi market here. Call Tazi Star Brand Sarah. Me, here Kaneshi market over here. They call me no, ya nabu no. Call Baba na mi yogojo. Size.
I'm watching senior. No only 25 cedi. She inchiono. Nkia 20 Ghana. Ni groga anwe 35 ngia 30 emo ke ma 25 here ehio mokoneka ko chona 30 here e ba he mokoneka ko le yin no ko o ba keke ma 25 here ehio ka mokonto 2 cedi yen e ko le akpo stuff you ma le 2 cedi alo 1 cedi ko ma hale ko boss e ma he ko be anya ho 85 anya ho 75 ka guna me ba ho le 9. Oh, wakajo waga na keba waga Burkina jama kejo no won wayo ya kra Ghana no eta
but how many types
Ghana no nu yemi ko ke mala no ekoye no etumo ran ko ke mala no nu e fine she na nu fa yemi emi efi.
Tomatoes are quite essential ingredients, and apart from it giving us delicious taste in our meals, it also reduces the risk of heart diseases and cancer. That's according to scientists. So when you step out of your home to buy tomatoes, note that you're not only buying taste, but you're buying a healthy lifestyle. Do not forget your miscellaneous as usual. Beverly Broom for Joy Business.
And that's your shopping list right there. Now let's turn to other stories for you. The GIZ Invest for Jobs initiative is boosting the skills of some small and medium enterprises in the garment and textile industry through exchange programs. The initiative, aimed at reducing the high unemployment rate in the country, is funded by the German government for job creation. Here's more.
Support from the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, about 60 SMEs in the informal sector are benefiting from this special initiative for job creation. Leader for the project, John Duty, after a short ceremony to close a training session for some fashion and textile dealers, told Joy Business that the private sector is being targeted because of its potential in growing the economy.
Supporting in job creation. And in Ghana, we know that the informal sector and the private sector are those that we anticipate to create the jobs that we need to absorb the teeming unemployed youth in Ghana. And one of the subsectors we know is the fashion, textiles and garments. So this particular SME development, which we call SME training and exchange, is a subset of what we do.
Some of the beneficiaries have been sharing their experiences with Joy Business.
Coming to this program has just opened my eyes to new and better ways of improving our business culture, new and better ways of expanding, because ultimately we want to become a continental and global player. And this training has, I can firmly say, it has set the tone for us to be able to do so.
Realize that if you are doing things individually, we will not be able to scale up. But when we come together as a group and we network and we do things collaboratively, then we'll be able to get to where we want to be. So these are the two main things that I've picked from the program.
Some people have started even picking my fabrics to go and design their garments. And so it's really been a very fruitful training and very impactful. And when we get back, we believe, and I personally believe that when I get back, my business is going to change to the best.
There's a lot of technical aspect to what we do, and we know that we are going to learn more with regards to the supply chain, sourcing for our raw materials, and even how to lead our companies and how to manage the people we work with. So it's been a whole, it's like 4 years in 2 weeks, because we've learned about leadership, management, business plan, our financials, and a whole lot. So we are looking forward to going to Germany and then coming back to grow our businesses and employ more people.
And that's our program tonight. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We leave you with some stories from around the world.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. Gary Al Smith here with the sport. In our first story, Director General of the National Sports Authority, Peter Twumasi, has assured Ghanaians that the Cape Coast Stadium will be ready to host the World Cup qualifier playoff between the Black Stars and the Super Eagles. Now, the facility's playing surface appeared brown after the Independence Day celebration, raising concerns over its readiness for the first of the two matches on the 25th of March. But Professor Twumasi insists in its current state, it's not a big deal as it will be ready within a week.
No, the 6 matches expected. I think that's what people have been discussing this, and I'm really a bit disappointed in this, because already we put it out that if the GFA wanted to use any of the other facilities, like for Accra Sports Stadium and Kumasi, they could have gone ahead and to do so. They made us aware that no, it has to be at the Cape Coast, and then we said we have to put in place the right measures, intervention, so that immediately after the 6th match, which everybody expected that there will be some impact on the pitch. Of course, if you have these army vehicles and marching and all that on the pitch, it will be impacted. But I think what we have really now put in place mechanism is said that it can recover the pitch just within about a week. So in the next week, if you want to really go there and check the state of the pitch, you realize that suddenly everything has been installed. As we speak now, the Green Grass Technology, who is also our consultant working with the National Sports Authority, thanks to the president, already he has given us a lot of new officers in the area of estate management and the pitch managers and so on and so forth. So we have enough hands helping with the fertilization of the pitch, water in the regimens which are in the rapid modulations and so on and so forth. So this pitch is a living material. Once it gets the needed nutrients, it gets all the water and all the other care. We are expecting it that within a week's time it will be restored to its original state. It's something that we do all the time, so it's not something cause for alarm at all. It will be ready.
Elsewhere, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia wants government to tap into the economic benefits of sport. Speaking during a visit of national cross-country winners, Dr. Bawumia called on stakeholders to invest beyond football.
This event, cross-country, is an event which we really had abandoned for 10 years. And like anything, when you don't pay attention to it, it will deteriorate. You have to nurture sports, especially, as a major role to play in our country. The major benefits of sports is so underestimated. And over the years, as governments have not really paid the requisite attention to sports. Maybe we tend to focus a lot on football, but there are many other sports. When you look at many economies around the world, many countries around the world, that you would see, for example, that the sort of jobs that the sports industry creates is just massive. It's just massive across the sports industry, the jobs that we create, the incomes that are generated. And so it's very, very important that as a country, we pay attention to sports, we invest in sports, and we nurture sports so that we can have the benefits for this country.
Ghana Premier League stuff now. The news. Big news is that Sule Muntari will miss Heart of Oak's trip to Doma for the matchday 20 game against Aduana Stars on Sunday. My colleague Joe Botti has more in this report about Heart of Oak's big star.
Defending champions Accra Hearts of Oak will be without their marquee signing, Sule Ali Muntari, for the first time since the 37-year-old joined on a one-year deal in February. The official reason stated by the Rainbow Club is the midfielder will miss the crucial game against the Aduana Stars due to an injury picked up in their matchday 19 win over Wafa at the Accra Sports Stadium. The former Inter Milan player has featured in 5 games since his signing and has a goal and an assist to his name. He also played a crucial role in their President's Cup triumph over rivals Asante Kotoko. The announcement of the midfielder's injury came hours after multiple reports suggested Muntari didn't want to make the 450-kilometer trip to Doma Ahinkro in the Bono region. He is expected to remain in Accra to receive further treatment from the medical staff of the Phobians. Hearts of Oak are yet to win away at Aduana in 8 years and will now have to do it without their key man, Muntari.
I'll take you through the fixtures for this weekend's Ghana Premier League matches, but still on Muntari, his presence has brought a lot of headlines to the Ghana Premier League, and one of his teammates, Dennis Kosa, the defender, says the former Inter and AC Milan midfielder is a big influence on the Phobians.
He spoke of Muntari and the amount of experience that he has. How has it been like training with a player who has achieved it all, he's seen it all, and what's his influence been on the team?
He is like a great motivator to all of us, because and then he's one person who always wants the best out of everybody. So we are trying to learn from him, we are trying to use him as a yardstick to improve upon our performances. So his presence alone feels like some kind of motivation for all of us. Looking at where he has been, and then he has decided to join us and then play with us, I think the only thing we can do is just learn from him and then probably do much more better than what he has done previously, and then what he's bringing on board now.
So let's take a look at the impact the 37-year-old midfielder has had so far in the Ghana Premier League. That's Sule Muntari. You're short. He's played 5 games, of which Hearts have drawn 3. They've lost 1 and played 29 minutes. They've won 1 as well. He's had 1 assist and won 1 trophy. That is the President's Cup. You reckon they're going to miss him on Sunday against Aduana Stars in Doma? Anyway, so let's see what the fixtures in the Ghana Premier League are. Ash Gold won today by 2-0. King Faisal against King Faisal. Accra Lions play Dreams FC tomorrow. Brekum Chelsea versus Karela United is tomorrow as well. Mediama versus 11 Wonders, Elmina Sharks versus Bichim United, Aduana versus Heart of Oak, Wafa RTU, Great Olympics, Legon Cities, and Asante Kotoko, BBNE Gold Star. So we will show you now the highlights of Ash Gold versus King Faisal in that game that was played today. All right, we don't have that at the moment, so we can move on from the Ghana Premier League. Anyway, let's go back to that story involving the National Sports Authority. We showed you the video of the boss saying that the Cape Coast Stadium will be ready. I've just been told that in the last few minutes, this has been released by the National Sports Authority. Apparently, they say this is what the Cape Coast Stadium pitch looks like now. And this is what they said on Twitter. Just 5 days into work on the Cape Coast Stadium pitch after the 6th March celebration, and we are getting tremendous restoration. So far, so good, and they give a thumbs up sign. So if my director can just zoom into the picture a bit so that we... Right. Anybody who knows a bit of photography knows that this photo has been heavily touched up, you know, and filtered and edited. But anyway, they say this is what the pitch looks like. All we want to see is the pitch in top-notch condition on the 25th of March. Let's go to the continent, because today South Africa made a major announcement. Now, they are set to make a major or have a major boost after the South African Football Association announced the intention to host 1, the CAF Champions League final, 2, the CAF Women's Champions League final tournament, and also the 2024 African Cup of Nations for women. There's more in the following report.
President Danny Jordan told Safanet on Friday that the wheels are already in motion and plans are underway to bid for both events. According to Jordan, Safa has already set their sights on hosting this year's CAF Champions League final. South Africa has 2 representatives in the Champions League, and the country's flag is already being flown by Mamelodi Sundowns and Amazulu FC. Sundowns currently head the standings in Group A, and they host Egyptian side El Ali in a highly anticipated clash at FNB Stadium on Saturday. Amazulu are currently second behind Raja Casablanca in Group B, and they travel to Algeria to face ES Setif also on Saturday. Jordan also revealed that Safa will also bid to host the African Women Cup of Nations in 2024.
Right, from Africa, let's go globally, because every year one of the big football prizes is the Ballon d'Or. The criteria for landing the prestigious prize will be tweaked slightly from this season and has an impact on the performances at the 2022 World Cup. The Ballon d'Or is considered to be one of the most prestigious prizes in football, with some iconic names having won the award multiple times down the years. But the criteria for claiming that particular trophy is being changed by France Football for the current year and beyond. Argentine superstar Leo Messi was the last man to land the award, with the Barcelona legend now at PSG winning it in Paris. So these are the changes that we are going to see. 1, they want a more consistent schedule. 2, they are going to have even stronger lists. 3, they are going to have a more demanding voting system. And 4, they say they are going to have clearer rules. So those are the changes we are going to see to the Ballon d'Or as well. Let me just also brief you. Now, last year in Paris, we saw at least one of these on the top 3 list. Robert Lewandowski. This year, these are who we consider at Joy Sports as the front runners for this year's Ballon d'Or. Lewandowski is in there. He scored 45 goals and had 5 assists already, and we are in March. Just in March, Mohamed Salah has 29 goals and 11 assists. Karim Benzema, with his hat-trick a couple of days ago, has 34 goals and 11 assists. And Kylian Mbappe has 30 goals and 15 assists. Let me also mention that, you know, last year, one of the key debates why Lewandowski didn't win and was said to have gone to Leo Messi was that Leo won on a certain technicality. Now, the organizers of the Ballon d'Or last year said among the criteria included the fact that a player could be voted for based on what he had done throughout his career and not just in the calendar year. This year, the organizers of the Ballon d'Or said from now onwards, they are going to take that criterion out. Also, the voting is going to be only for the duration of the European football season. That is going to be from September or late August to May. They are also going to only consider the top 100 countries in world football. You know, previously, they sent voting rights to every country that is affiliated with FIFA. From now, they are going to give only to the top 100 countries, and these are some of the key changes that we are going to see in the Ballon d'Or going forward. Right, it's about just about 24 hours since the British government announced the sanctions on Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich. According to the manager of the London club, Thomas Tuchel, it is difficult, really, in the dressing room to focus on football. This was done before what I'm coming to tell you. Now, just about an hour ago or 2 hours ago, it emerged that Chelsea's club credit cards have been temporarily suspended by their bankers, Barclays, in the wake of the Roman Abramovich news being sanctioned by the UK government. So people who work at Chelsea that have corporate credit cards are unable to use them at the moment. It was reported earlier this evening that the club's Barclays bank account had been frozen, but Chelsea now say that the bank account is still operational this evening. And a couple of reporters have actually said that Chelsea are unable to even buy fuel for their buses. Somebody just said, oh, Charlie in the studio. Anyway, let's switch gears to the NBA. And the most anticipated game after the trade deadline and the All-Star break, the Philadelphia Sixers versus the Brooklyn Nets took place on March the 11th at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, it was full of drama from beginning to end. During pre-match warm-ups, Ben Simmons, formerly of the Sixers, received a heavy load of booze, even without partaking in the game. The match-up recorded the highest number of views in Sixers history in the last decade, and it was full of action. It was a hot game. Let's hop on to Zoom now and speak to my colleague Joel Borte. Hi Joel, good evening. And bye-bye.